Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Today, friends, we're going to be going over day 23, Karen Reed retrial, day 3 of 23 with Dr. Welcher. More of the same thing. Ed, I wanted to go to you real quick on your thoughts on this day. A lot happened before the court went going. A lot happened before the continuation of cross-examination by Robert Alessi. Your thoughts, Ed?
Well, once again, Lifeguard-Bev, so predictable. She denied the defense's request to cross-examine this witness on Trooper Paul and the medical examiner's reports because this witness used those reports in his report. And, you know, if there was no citation of using those portions of Trooper Paul's report or the medical examiner's report, might even be considered plagiarism. But he definitely does. And I believe that he spoke about certain things in his testimony that would have opened the door for this line of questioning. And Lifeguard-Bev, to the rescue again, wouldn't let the defense attorneys do it. And I will have to say that I didn't think this guy can become more arrogant and narcissistic and so forth, but he proved me wrong again today. He was given the hand to Alessi from the stand. All right. He had to have all of his electronics shut down and put away, and he looked lost, including his watch. You'll see if you haven't seen it already. And rightfully so. He should have been, in my opinion, held in contempt after the second time he was told by the judge to put the electronics away and stop looking at the books. When he went and did it the third time and she barked at him, boom, contempt. But yeah, no.
And you know, it actually seemed like, Ed, and you know, we'll go to the chat because our live chat, they're pretty, you know, they watch closely. It seemed like Judge Bev, before that voir dire started or that hearing in the morning happened, she had her mind made up.
Oh yeah,
she didn't even consider. You know how we see like Judge Hippler, Judge over in Idaho, they would take both sides and say, all right, give me some time. I get it. The trial is ongoing and she's trying to rush this thing, which is never a good look, right? You're talking about someone's freedom, somebody's life. This woman is looking at going to jail for 20 plus years if convicted of the top charge. And I looked at this thing, Ed, before Robert Alessi even sat down. Before Alessi sat down, she already said, "I'm not ruling. I'm not going."
I disagree with you. She said it right before he could get in his butt in a chair.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was ridiculous, you know. But she's made many rulings like this that are in my opinion, are reversible errors.
Yeah.
If God forbid, Miss Reed gets convicted, okay, of this crime, it's an issue for appeal. I just hope that never gets to that point. Again, whether it's Miss Reed as the defendant or any one of us here today on, you know, in the chat, or you and I as the defendant of this type of injustice that's being perpetrated here in our criminal justice system by these folks that are sworn to uphold the law and serve and protect and keep our community safe. You know, again, it's a travesty of justice what's going on here. It's ridiculous. In a normal court, none of this case wouldn't even be here. None of this evidence would have been allowed in for the sheer lack of chain of custody and not following the proper protocols. None of these decisions made by these judges are normal. It's not.
You don't see it, and this is just not normal behavior. And what's going on in the courtroom there in Norfolk County, I don't know. I mean, we know the feds are watching. So
Brennan got it backwards, and the judge has it backwards. The prosecutors are not entitled by the Constitution to a fair trial. The defendant, by Constitution, is entitled to a fair trial. And I don't see this as being fair. I don't see many of the rulings that the judge has made as being fair to the defendant.
Right. Yeah. And it's been like that, not only just in this trial, but in trial one. She rushes the defense like, I don't have much time. So could you speed this up? But when Brennan is talking, or anybody from the Commonwealth side, there's no rushing. There's no, it's take your time. She's handling their expert witnesses. Obviously, they're the only ones that are calling them because of her ruling. But she even on the third day that this obnoxious Dr. Welcher was there, she was being like handling him with kid gloves. I don't know if anybody caught on to that, but it was sickening for me. But let's take a listen to this. This is just a little recap of the day. I always like to play this in the beginning. Let's take a listen in.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth rests.
Tonight, the prosecution rests its case after days of testimony from a crash reconstruction expert.
Dr. Welcher, you look awesome.
Oh my God, thank you.
Has the prosecution accomplished
Oh my God, thank you.
all of its goals?
Other piece of data that goes hand in glove with the cell phone is information on the defendant's Lexus vehicle chips.
Our panel weighs in on the prosecution's case and their evidence. Plus, what can we expect when the defense gets their chance starting tomorrow? Canton Confidential, the Karen Reed murder trial, starts right now.
The Commonwealth has officially presented all of its evidence, and the defense is up next. Good evening, everyone. I'm J.C. Monahan.
And I'm Glenn Jones. Today, the prosecution's final witness, crash reconstruction expert Dr. Welcher, concluded his testimony after days on the stand. Let's get you up to speed on the trial so far. Opening statements began a little more than a month ago, April 22nd. Today, the prosecution rested its case. During that time, there were 23 days of testimony and nearly 40 witnesses called to the stand.
Melody Mendez has been keeping tabs on the trial since day one. She joins us live outside Norfolk Superior Court with more on today's major developments. Melody.
Well, JC and Glenn, as you said, for the third day, the prosecution's culminating witness was back on the stand to explain and defend his work.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Honor.
The cross-examination of crash reconstructionist Dr. Welcher picked back up Thursday, with the defense raising a number of concerns. For example, the ring cameras at John O'Keefe's house on Meadows Ave. The images and measurements from those cameras provided the basis for Welcher's conclusions about contact between Reed and John O'Keefe's SUVs. But the cameras had been changed, replaced by a new model, and the location slightly shifted from where it was in 2022 to when Welcher did his testing.
It starts there. And if the starting point is wrong, then where you go from the starting point is going to be at least potentially wrong, correct?
Potentially.
Alessi also raising concerns about the hydraulics and suspension on Reed's Lexus. Alessi pointing out the vehicle lifts when in drive and drops when stopped, changing the SUV's height by some 4 inches, enough, he says, to throw off their calculations. Welcher acknowledging he doesn't know this is.
Didn't he actually say it was 5 inches, if my memory serves me correct?
It's a total of 5, two down and 3 up.
Right. So when the car shuts off, it goes down 2. And then 3 when it starts? Is that what I'm...
No, it can be adjusted by a dial inside the car manually, and there's automatic
control
modes depending on what the sensors are picking up on the tires and the driving conditions. And so it could raise a total of 3 up, and it could lower itself a total of 2 down. Say you want to go sport mode, so it will lower to give you more aerodynamics and more ground hugging ability than if you were on off-road, then it could raise to give you more ground clearance.
Yeah. This is just another minute or so.
Suspension height when the car was at Fairview.
So you don't have the suspension height for that key day, do you, sir?
I only have it 2 days later.
In a very brief redirect, just 6 minutes, Prosecutor Hank Brennan addressed each concern, going methodical.
He even said again today, words to the effect of, I really don't care about that. And unless you really homed in on that. And I know you watched the whole thing. I was at work, so it's hard for me to listen to it all in one sitting. But I did pick up on that he said, words to the effect is it really doesn't matter. I really don't care about those measurements. I think it was measurements that he was making reference to, right, Ed?
Yeah, but I mean, he was talking a lot about the camera and the 3D laser scanning and so forth. But you know, unless he could have done more with this, besides the suspension system, there's the air pressure in the tires. There's the how much gasoline is in the tank. There is the fact that nobody representing Karen Reed with her same weight is sitting in the driver's seat. All of these things can affect the height of the vehicle at the time. And he has none of this information from the 29th when the incident occurred. Okay. So, I mean, it just blows his whole theory off. Also, he said, well, I got I did photogrammetry on the vehicle. I did photogrammetry on the vehicle when it was in the Canton Police Department's garage. And so basically he takes the photograph of the rear of the car and he tries to determine the height. He was measuring off the concrete there to the bumper or something. And then he's trying to superimpose the scan and so forth. Where is that? I don't, you know, is it in a report somewhere that shows that I do? Because when I do controlled experiments like that, every little minutia is documented so that another expert reviewing my what I did in my experiments knows all of the aspects of my experiment so that they can replicate my experiment and see if they get the same results that I do. So that all has to be documented, and that all should be a part of the report, not some bullshit PowerPoint presentation, but in a written report. Okay. I don't know that one was produced in this case. Like I said, nothing that's being done in this case and in that courtroom is to standards that I am aware of. Okay, nothing. And this judge is just letting it roll. Okay. There's another thing too with that. He doesn't seem to understand how the 3D laser scanner works. And there was a line of questioning that Alessi was going down that road, and he missed an opportunity to show that he doesn't know because he doesn't do the scans himself. He's possibly, I don't believe that he's a certified 3D laser scanner operator. I believe he had someone from one of the other office, possibly the Massachusetts office came out and did the scans for him.
Testified and said somebody did do that. I heard that today.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what was interesting too, Ed, is like he was negligent on a lot of measurements and fine points. But when it came to the reconstruction with the blue paint and John O'Keefe's sweatshirt, t-shirt, pants, he had the same Nike sneakers. He had remember I highlighted at the bottom, we zoomed in on it. He had everything down to a T of John O'Keefe's, which was cringe. Let us know in the chat if you feel it was cringe. Put a 1 in the chat, put a 2 if you didn't think
it's smoke and mirrors. It's smoke and mirrors. It's not science. Where's the science in this?
Yeah.
Where's the science? If he wanted to do a controlled experiment, he could have got a crash dummy with the anatomically correct bones in place and done that test. Now, he was afraid to do any testing, as he heard when he testified. He was, well, if I would have done that test and it didn't match, it didn't match what? I'm saying to myself, what does it mean it didn't match? Didn't match what? Because you came to a predetermination of what should be occurring here. So if you did your experiment several times and it disproves your thesis, then your thesis is wrong and you need to change and come up with a new thesis and conduct more testing. All right. So, but he couldn't do that because he had already came to a conclusion of how this all went down because he had confirmational bias. He was told by those investigators and that prosecutor, okay, this is what happened. Prove it.
This is what we want. This is what we want. And this is what he delivered. He delivered exactly what they asked him. And as this person here, Pixie Megan, says, Brennan, not Brennan, the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, which in turn is the taxpayers of the Commonwealth. The taxpayers of the state of Massachusetts paid close to $400,000 for this junk. This guy who, in our opinion, and in Ed's expert opinion, again, for those of you who are new, Ed Wallace has testified in 399 trials as an expert witness for the prosecutor and for the defense. And he is stating this guy has done really an injustice to the trade. And that's riveting when you
Hey.
hear from somebody like Ed.
I can tell you in some of the high profile cases that I've worked in, after I retired as a private forensic consultant, okay, I was the lead forensics in the Sean Bell case, okay, and we spared no expense there doing all kinds of experiments. We bought a used actual vehicle of the same make and model and year that was involved in the shooting. And we reconstructed many of the aspects of the shooting that were under suspect or of consequence here, that there was an argument between the prosecutors and the defense as to how this all went down. And by all the experiments that we did and documentation and videotaping, we were able to prove some of these aspects of how the shooting transpired, rather. And anybody could have looked at what we did and then taken it and replicated it and seen if they got the same results. Like, for instance, there was the prosecution had this theory that a bullet fired by a police officer traversed from one side of the street across the other side of the street.
The elevated Long Island Railroad.
No, into a residential window, okay, unimpeded by a secondary target, and then a paper lampshade on the other side of the window captured that officer's bullet because of centrifugal force of the lampshade spinning.
Yeah.
And I was like, where did they come up with this theory? So what do? We found that exact same lamp. We got the exact same window. Right. We put the window up. We got the officer's gun, ammunition. We set this all up, videotaped it, chronographed it. And then behind the lampshade, we put two 5/8 sheet of plywood behind it.
Right.
Three quarter inch. And we fired that gun multiple times. Yeah. Guess what? That lampshade didn't catch the bullet, and it went through both sheets of plywood. All right. And so we document all this. And then there was another team that had done some ballistic trajectories on this vehicle, but none of the trajectories were making sense until we figured out that the car involved right front tire had driven up on the bumper of another car and raised the right side of the vehicle. And then finally the weight of the car pulled that wheel out of the transmission and the axle. So anyhow, but
there was a lot of work done in that case. I actually responded to that. I was working in warrants at that time. Mm-hmm. There was all the riots not riots, but protests after that. The Sean Bell, just so you guys know, he was on the night of his bachelor party, and he was in a illegal social club, and there was an operation going on in there, undercover operation with the vice unit. They were doing a prostitution sweep, and there was all prostitutes in there and all kinds of illegal stuff, guns, so forth. Anyways, to make a long story short, let's carry on. This guy here, Dr. Welcher, would never go that far. Nobody in the case involving police officer John O'Keefe went that far. But I want to show you here because this was important. I want to complete this. Karen Reed, the Commonwealth, Mr. Brennan, opened up to the jury in the beginning on April 22nd. In his opening, he played a video of Karen Reed giving an interview, and that's how they ended. That's how they rested their case. So let's listen.
No.
And the alleged bias.
74%. Does that suffer from confirmation bias?
No, that's a direct reading of a sensor. That's
Run him over?
information.
I thought, could I have run him over? Did he try to get me as I was leaving and I didn't know it?
The prosecution finished by playing one final clip of Reed's interview from a docuseries.
What if I ran his foot over? Or what if I clipped him in the knee and he passed out or went to care for himself and he threw up or passed out? And David said, yeah, then you have some element of culpability.
This is a primary reason why you don't give interviews. And again, the prosecution jumped on this, and this was the beginning of their case and the ending of their case. So again, I think that, lawyers, defense attorneys would look at this and say, yeah, this is not what we commonly see, Ed. And I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, again, I don't believe she should have given any of these interviews. Okay. I have a sister who was a former prosecutor and a defense attorney, right? And the old adage is you have the right to remain silent. Use it. Okay. If you don't make any statements, they can't be used against you. Okay. I don't know. It is her decision to make. I'm guessing that her attorneys told her, advised her not to do it, but she did it. Okay. And now she's got to live with those consequences. But I don't think, that she wasn't given advice to do it. I just think it was the opposite. And she said, no, I'm going to do this because I have nothing to hide. And, I want to get my story out there.
Yeah. Let's say thank you to some of our live chatters and our super chatters. Chris M., thank you for becoming a new member. Look, Michelle's here. She's sending $10 in the Lexus. There was a plastic to-go cup in the front seat cup holder shown in the Sallyport and Proctor's Joyride pics. Wouldn't an open container be collected for evidence in a hit and run? Yeah.
There was no accident report, was there?
Negative.
Mandated when there's a fatality.
Gold dust woman, and especially a fatality that involves a police officer, an off-duty police officer, anybody. I mean, I'm just highlighting that John O'Keefe, police officer John O'Keefe from the Boston Police Department, they did the most shitty investigation. And I don't say this comfortably. This doesn't come out comfortably.
It wasn't Boston, though.
Whatever. BPD. But the bottom line is he was an officer. And they did not do a dot your I and cross your T type investigation. It involved stop and shop. I don't want to give you, PTSD. Stop and shop bags, red Solo cups.
Slowly I turn.
Leaf blowers, all kinds of craziness from the chief of detectives of the Canton Police Department. Might I remind you. Gold Dust Woman, thank you for the 10 super sticker. I love Bulldogs. Thank you for becoming a new member. Pearls of Wisdom, thank you for the 5. You guys are great. No, you are great. Our live audience, we love you guys. Patricia, thank you for the 5. She says, I didn't see any of those measurements taken into account. The many inches of snow on the ground, which would raise a car up, all done on dry ground. Now, don't forget, when they're alleging this happened, there was just maybe less than a 2-inch coating to an inch or 2 of snow at that time at the midnight hour. And we saw video from the morning where he was using that leaf blower. Remember, that was 7 a.m., right? Lieutenant Leaf Blower. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. There wasn't a lot of snow then either. It really picked up during the day. So let's listen to Karen Reed outside of court, again, giving a statement today. So let's listen in.
Afternoon, a short time ago, Karen Reed left the courthouse and she told reporters that her defense case will last between 1.5 and 2 weeks. And she said her first witness tomorrow morning will be a phone data analyst. Now, the prosecution's final witness was accident reconstruction Judson Welcher. He spent a total of 3 days on the witness stand and repeatedly stood by his conclusion that Reed's SUV taillight was damaged in a collision and that John O'Keefe's injuries were caused by a vehicle collision. After Welcher left the stand, Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan wasn't done yet. He played one more clip of one of Reed's media interviews from before the first trial. And in it, Reed says at first she had questions about what happened to John O'Keefe.
And then when I hired David Yannetti, I asked him those questions the night of January 29th. Like, David, what if I ran his foot over, or what if I clipped him in the knee and he passed out or went to care for himself and he threw up or passed out? And David said, yeah, then you have some element of culpability.
TBD.
Leaving court, Reed told reporters that she is feeling good. She said her team still hasn't decided if they will call Trooper Michael Proctor to testify. He is the lead investigator who was fired for sending insulting text messages about Reed. The prosecution did not call Proctor during its case. Now, Reed did not testify at her first trial, and she told us this afternoon she has not yet decided if she will testify for this second trial if she will, in fact, take the stand. Live and dead, I'm David Bieniek, WCBB News.
I think there's a mistake going on here.
Why?
I don't think they should bring the telephone guy, cell phone guy tomorrow. I think they should strike when the iron is hot and get Arcar guys up here, and so they can strike right now when the accident reconstruction is fresh in the mind of the jury, and they can see the difference between the two accident reconstructionists. And I believe the Arcar guys are true professionals and going to blow this the prosecutor's witness out of the water. Welcher cannot compete with those other people from Arcar.
Yeah. Chicago Marie says, get Arcar tomorrow. Ed, absolutely. You know, Ed, you and I talked today when we were talking briefly. It was like we were saying, well, you brought it up and you were like, it almost sounds like they're listening to us as we speak, you know, on the podcast. But, it's just they're dotting their I's and crossing their T's. The defense are so well prepared, where you see what the Commonwealth is doing is they're flying by the seat of their pants, bringing in experts who lie about their resume. That was the huge embarrassment of this trial. It was just unbelievable to see Shannon Burgess, and who knows what's going to become of him. I didn't even care to keep looking and seeing if his profile is updated, but that guy, he's not employable anymore. He's washed up. So,
I see in the chat some people say, I disagree, save Arcar for last. Well, here's the problem with that. The judge ruled against the defense and is giving a third bite of the apple to the prosecution. So after the final witness for the defense, they're allowing a rebuttal from their crash reconstruction expert to come back and testify again. So I say put Arcar up front, and then you have this huge gap between Arcar and the return Dr. Welcher at the end of the defense case.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me, Ed. Absolutely. I'm looking for a little piece that Kristen put together for us. So just give me two seconds. Just scan the chat for any of the questions that are coming in. Somebody said they paid $75,000 for the car. I don't know that. They never confirmed that. Did you get any confirmation on that, Ed? If they paid $75K for that car?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Right.
Well,
okay.
I mean, but what was the purpose of buying the car? Just to do scans? I don't understand. What was the purpose of buying the car if they didn't do any of the control test on it? What did they do with the car? Explain to me. I mean, usually when I buy a car, like I bought a car, I shot it. All right, because it was a part of a shooting reconstruction. Okay, and what are they doing?
What do you guys think in the chat? I mean, what was the purpose of that car? Do you think that again he had it all? Ed, you saw it. It was all geared up with cameras and the blue sticky paint on the back, and
it was just the blue paint. If that was the case, then you could have bought another lens and stuck it back in Karen Reed's car and used Karen Reed's car.
I agree.
Okay. What are we doing here?
Who's
driving that car now? Some executive at Arcar? I mean, at Aperture?
Yeah. Well, he said Aperture is keeping that car until the end of the trial, and that they will sell it, as we all heard. They're going to sell it, and if they get more for it, then they'll give money back to the Commonwealth, or they'll take off the bill. If it sells for less, they'll pay the difference.
And did you see in Karen Reed's car, there is from the time that Trooper Paul did his work on that car, there's 100 new key on and offs events.
Yep.
So key cycles. Okay, 100 key cycles. So who's doing what with that car?
Let's bring a little bit of humor to this, because this is one of the funnier moments of the 3 days of hell that Dr. Welcher put us through. That's what I'm referring to it as, because you can't get those moments back. But this is some of the more comical parts of his testimony.
Sir, I only mentioned 1164, 1165, and 1167. I purposefully skipped because I didn't understand you had reviewed it. So here's my question. You therefore, based upon the fact that you reviewed them and you said it's important to understand timing, etc. That's very important in your forensic analysis, correct?
Yes, sir.
So let's go to the timing question and you understand where the Lexus has been at various points in time. You testified to that in direct, whether it was at the Canton Police Department, whether it was being towed, correct?
In addition to having Mr. Burgess analysis of the data.
In addition to Mr. Burgess analysis, so in that analysis contained locations of where the Lexus had been.
It contained where it had been, and also include date and time, when it was turned on, when it was turned off.
Exactly. So not only did you have all the locations, you had dates and times associated with the location where the SUV, the Lexus SUV had been, correct?
Correct.
Now to the question. Based upon that review, that knowledge, that understanding, those bases, you're aware, and you've reviewed, by the way, Trooper Paul's reports, correct?
I have.
There were 2 reports of Trooper Paul. There was his original CARS report and then a supplemental report that were listed in the documents you reviewed. Do you recall that?
I don't recall that, but I'll take your word for it.
I don't want you to have to take my word. Do you recall, sir,
No, I
that
don't.
there were do you recall that there was a report of Trooper Paul?
Yes,
Okay. And you read that report, I assume, sir.
I did.
And it would be important for you to read that report and read it carefully because it addressed the subject matter that you were addressing, correct?
No, I did my own independent analysis. As a matter of fact, it'd probably be more important that I don't do that to avoid confirmational bias.
But you did read Trooper Paul's report.
Of
correct?
course.
So you therefore are aware that the Commonwealth has maintained up into your engagement.
I'm going to see a sidebar on this.
Are you aware that over the course of the Commonwealth's and your investigation into this case, that the theorized time of the alleged contact of the SUV?
So just 2 words, just strike theorized.
Over the course of your
Hold on, Mr. Leslie, court reporter can't hear.
Thank you. I will.
I'll object again to the question that's coming.
Can I
Go ahead
begin my
and
question?
ask a.
All right, that was supposed to be a funny video, but it wasn't. Johnny Reb, yeah. Johnny Reb sends a question at DutyRon. If an honest witness was looking at contact patterns, he would have had 4 color lines, and it would have had shown directionality on drag across the taillight, forearm parallel, upper perpendicular. Ed, your thoughts?
The geometry of the polycarbonate remaining in the housing of the taillight is not consistent with the geometry of the damage to the sleeve of the hoodie, nor the damage, the injuries to John O'Keefe's arm. Okay. That's why he didn't do the experiment. That's why he didn't use a crash dummy dressed in John O'Keefe's clothing.
Could have been shot off.
Because it wouldn't have shown what he wanted to show. And, you know, he talks about confirmational bias and why he shouldn't, you know, he started off with confirmational bias.
Yeah.
He was told what they were looking for and what they wanted. So he did what he could to give them what they wanted.
Amazing. Thank you, Johnny Reb, for that comment. I saw you put it in a couple of times in the chat. The chat's just moving kind of fast. So we're trying to get to all the chats because today was a light day. And again, we'll get into the beginning and then how the day ended. Here's what I was looking for. I actually saved this myself, but it was I wanted it full screen. I thought we had it, but we didn't have it. But here it is. To get your laugh on, we'll play this for you guys. This is from yesterday.
It's certainly possible. It's possible it could have shot off into space as an engineer, but not probable.
Oh, you think it's possible that it could have been shot off into space, sir?
As an engineer, it's a possibility.
It's a possibility that
Absolutely.
this Lexus could have been shot off into space.
Yeah. Highly, highly unlikely. But
All
again, you're asking an engineer about possibilities and probabilities.
Let's get back to reality. So
I love it. I love it.
I mean, this is how crazy this is. This is how destructive this guy is to forensics. You're giving testimony as a subject matter expert, a forensic subject matter expert, in a very serious trial where the defendant's freedom and life is on the line here. And you say this shit? Are you out of your goddamn mind? Okay? Nobody should take this fool seriously. Ron, did I lose you?
I'm here.
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility that
Absolutely.
this Lexus could have been shot up into space.
Yeah. Highly, highly unlikely. But
All right.
again, you're asking an engineer about possibilities and probabilities.
Let's get back to reality.
Yeah, you're not much of an engineer, my friend.
That takes the cake. Ed, any other thoughts from today? There was a lot that went on. I mean, again, Judge Bev in the beginning of the day told the defense that, yeah, no, you can't question the Dr. Welcher about Dr. Scordy Bello. You cannot question him about Trooper Paul. They were protecting Trooper Paul. Remember, again, I hate to do this, but Trooper Paul showed how incompetent he is as it pertains to accident reconstruction. I don't know what he's doing now in the state police, but in my eyes, I'm certainly hope that he's not in that same position, because he can't investigate his way out of a paper bag.
Well, I heard he's not allowed to do any accident reconstructions anymore. But hey, Ron, while I look at the chat for some questions, and I'll talk about some of the things here, could you pull up the one of the photographs of Officer John O'Keefe's hoodie, the one with the sleeve?
Yeah, I can do it. I'll put you full screen and I'll go insert it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, today, again, if you watch the beginning of the trial, you know, the defense team asked the judge right from the word get, that to have all the electronics taken away from this witness, because he was definitely using the electronics yesterday, and even to the point that when during the cross, Alessi had to ask the judge to have his smart watch taken away from him. Okay. And he was like, but I get emails all day. So, I mean, just think about what he was doing on the stand yesterday. He was in real time while he's giving testimony. So it shows you why he's not answering these questions from the defense, from Alessi properly, because he's not listening to him. He's manipulating his PowerPoint presentation. He's making changes. He's doing all this stuff on his computer and not paying attention to what's going on in the actual courtroom. Okay? I mean, he should have been held in contempt. I don't know why, other than the fact that I think Lifeguard-Bev is a terrible judge. Okay, that she allowed that to go on. It's disrespectful to the defendant. It's disrespectful to the judge, disrespectful to the jury, and everybody involved in that courtroom. Okay. And, you know, who was he talking to? If I was the defense attorney, I would have demanded, and I doubt that Bev would have gave me this, but I would have demanded to look at his notes, what he's writing down, to look at his phone, to look at his computer, and to look at his watch, to see what he was doing in that time frame that he was playing with these devices. Was he talking to somebody? Was he texting? Was somebody following court TV from his office and feeding him information? What was going on here? But of course, that never happened. No request was made for that. But I tell you what, in New York, I go up on the stand with my notes, my report, my photographs. That is it. Okay. And technically the photographs are part of the report. Okay. And in there is also my sketch. Okay. And I can't look at these things without asking permission from the judge. Okay. And it's just to refresh my memory, not to read verbatim from my reports or any of that. And I never bring my curriculum vitae on the stand. He brought his curriculum vitae and he had to read it. You don't know your curriculum vitae? You have to read it to remember aspects of your curriculum vitae? Okay. I am so pissed off about everything that's transpiring here in this day and age in our criminal justice system in the United States. None of this shit should be happening. Okay. It's, you know, the world is watching. The world is watching. And we are becoming the laughing stocks of the world because of nonsense like this. Okay. And the fact that the people up there in that county gave this judge an award is mind-blowing, mind-blowing. It's just like, here, in your face to all of us. Okay. We don't give a shit what you all think about Lifeguard-Bev. We think she's great. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You know, unbelievable, unbelievable. And the fact that this company, I get it, you know, because, you know, I'm in a lot of different forensic associations, and you always have, you know, vendors, you know, paying for things at conferences and so forth and so on. I get it that they were a sponsor of a bar association conference or dinner or whatever it was, award dinner. You know, I get that, but really, it's like the optics of all of this is just terrible, terrible. Let's see. Anybody have any questions? I'm looking in the chat now, so if you have them, just post them. And I said, did he have what? Hold on. Yeah. Oh, the Signal app question. Let me. So during redirect. Now this is redirect. Now, when the prosecutor gets up for redirect, they are only supposed to be able to ask questions from what was asked in the cross-examination because they already had their direct questions. So in this case, Lifeguard-Bev to the rescue again over the objection of the defense team, allowed Brennan to ask questions about using Signal and intimating, you know, about, you know, secret conversations that are being hidden, right? That's totally inappropriate. But Lifeguard-Bev allowed it in. And then after the second or third question, then she finally sustained the objections. But the damage had already been done. Again, as I said yesterday, once the toothpaste is out of the tube, you're not getting it back in. The jury heard all of this, okay? It was totally inappropriate, all right? Let's see. Let me see what else is going on here.
And I got the hoodie up.
Yeah, can you find that close-up of the arm? All right. A little closer to the next one. She had a close-up of one of the damaged areas. Now, zooming in is not going to do. It was a specific close-up. Let's see. I'm looking through the chat for a question. Yes. Okay. Okay. Let's see if there's another one. But you see, this is number one. You see the circular entrance, right? Where Ron is highlighting. That is your entry. And the fibers are going down into the shirt from the exterior to the interior. Then it's being pulled to the right and it exits. And then the fibers come out of that elliptical side of this defect. There's nothing in the geometry of the polycarbonate left on that vehicle's tail light that could cause this. Okay? What could cause this, folks? Anybody want to venture a guess? Come on, first one. A canine tooth.
Yeah.
Or the claw on a paw. Okay? Does everybody see this? You don't have to be a dog bite expert to understand this. And any of us who do have dogs, who've ever got, you know, roughhouse with the dog, would have experienced something like this. I have. Yeah. I have fooling around with my dogs, whether it was Buddy or Kara. Okay. I've had this happen. And then, and if you've ever looked at, like, your dog gets a hold of your sock and you see the damage that the dog does to the sock, it's the same thing.
I saved
Okay.
the video from Melanie Little's channel with Garrett Wing. I think it was on his channel where he talks about this, that he's a dog bite expert. And he didn't even say, you know what, maybe there's a chance that it isn't. Did anybody in the chat here see that video with Garrett Wing? He's got over 2 million subscribers on YouTube. And I'll link his channel in the description. So here's the video. He's got it unlisted, so you really can't see it, but he's talking about this.
multiple bites.
I want to just set this up. Again, he's an 18-year police veteran, right? He worked in the police department for 18 years. And now his channel is called American Standard Dog Training. All right. So he lists this as the Karen Reed murder trial conspiracy. Canine expert weighs in. Let's just listen to a little bit of this, Ed. I don't want to, because it does pertain to what you were talking about on the clothing.
We specifically train our police dogs to, once again, preferably bite one time and hold. There's a few reasons for that. We can get into that if you like, but one of them being we don't want to have a defendant, a suspect, with 6, 7, 8 different bite wounds on him. That does not look good in the courtroom. That does not look good in the public eye. We want the dog to bite and hold and just handle business, if you will. You hold onto that leg while I put this guy's arm behind his back and hand.
And he legitimately has no dog in the fight. I mean, no pun intended. He didn't know anything about this case, Ed. He knew zero. Melanie pulled him in over a year ago and asked him for his expert opinion because he wanted to know and she wanted to educate her audience. So this guy he didn't even know who Karen Reed is or was. He didn't even know anything about this case.
For those of you who have dogs, right? You ever play with the dog and what does, when you hold something out of a cloth or a rope or any of those toys, what do the dogs do? They clamp and then they pull. They don't pull forward, they pull back.
Yeah.
Is that not what you see in that shirt?
Yeah, you see it.
Okay.
It's clear as day. So I played, some of this video because I thought it was important. It's out there. It's public on her channel. It's public out there I saw many clips of him on TikTok. So the cat's out of the bag. And some people in the chat are saying, oh, he's going to be an expert witness for the defense. That's fine. Because what he says here is not, it's not anything that will hurt the case. It's actually going to help them. And it doesn't matter. Again, once you put something on the internet, it's out there. It's out there for the viewing. And he said, essentially, Garrett said that 100% these marks on John O'Keefe's arm, he looked at the autopsy photos of what we also saw in court with those bite marks, with those marks. Again, I'm showing my bias, with the marks on his arm. And he said, and remember the last time we played this a couple of weeks ago, he showed that a prosthetic arm, that fleshy arm, looked like a real arm. So it was, from here down to here, and he showed it, and he showed what dog bites marks do on an arm. And it, just impressive. I mean, here's the spot where he talks about this, and you can see he's with Melanie Little, and this is when he was on her show with him. And he goes over this stuff and he talks about it. Lots of super chats are coming in, Ed. So I want to get to those. And I know you scan the chat. I want to scan the chat as well and get to the folks in the chat. But let's go to the super chats real quick. Where was I when I left off? Oh, right here. Gold Dust Woman. Thank you. I love bulldogs. All right. Here's where we left off. C-Main and Soho, thank you for the 2. She says, will they go for a mistrial? Blatant bias for the Commonwealth. I don't know. It's too early to tell because we got another 2 weeks to go.
Well, tomorrow morning, they're going to open up and the defense is going to make a motion to have the case thrown out, saying that the prosecution has not met its burden beyond a reasonable doubt and blah, blah, blah. And Lifeguard-Bev is going to say, yeah, forget that.
Exactly. So it's going to be another pipe dream for the defense. Unfortunately, their argument is legit. But you're not talking to somebody who's legit. Lifeguard-Bev, anti-Bev, whatever the hell you want to call her, she is not even open-minded to it. So Hank or whoever's going to talk, Mr. Robert Alessi, whoever's going to speak on behalf of Karen Reed, she's going to just already have her mindset like, Kimberly, thank you for the 20. She says, hi, guys. So happy I'm catching a live. I love the coverage and show. T-shirt idea in an investigation. Details matter. Much love, Ron.
That's true. Kimberly, thank you.
Thank you so much from Michigan. We love all of our supporters from across the globe, across the United States. Metamai, thank you for 1979. It was a good year. For the 5, did he calculate the several inches of snow when Karen hit John's car? Because I didn't hear that. Again, I don't think that there were several inches of snow at that time, Ed.
No, this is at 5:05 in the morning, 5:07 in the morning.
Right, when she was backing out of the.
When she was backing out, yeah. So at that time, there were, that's when the bulk of the snow was coming down.
It was coming down hard. It was coming down hard. But still, at 7 o'clock, when the lower lieutenant was on that lawn, we didn't see a lot of snow. So, again, yeah, I don't think that there was much at that time. It looked like there was snow. It covered the driveway, but how would you tell from a Ring video? Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. We appreciate you. Ashy Rose, thank you. I want a refund. The Massachusetts PCL tested, MSPCL tested what they were given at the date, and they were at the date they were given. Can we discuss Uber Tully or Tilly, who lost rank and 6 days vacation? We could talk about that all day, all night. But thank you for the super chat. There'll be plenty of time for us to talk about these low-life dirtbags. In my opinion, that's what they are. You do something like what we see here, you are stooping to the level of, you're a criminal. You're a criminal when you do this stuff. So thank you.
How many times have I said on this, on our shows that, I would get these detectives and these bosses that would come up to me, and they call it a theory when it's really a hypothesis. They get a hypothesis in their head about how a particular crime occurred, and then they start telling me, collect this, collect that, collect this, collect that. And I tell them, hey, thank you very much. Get out of my crime scene. I make the determination as to what gets collected.
Yeah. I'm not going to be coaxed into your theory. I'm going to go in and collect the evidence and take me where the evidence takes me.
Yeah, unlike this team, who said they read the crime scene and they listened to the crime scene. I said, no, you didn't listen to the crime scene. You listened to Jen.
Right. That was a big jerk job. Thunderhorse, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Kimberly, thank you for the 5. He was wrong. It's an accident reconstruction. It isn't from Delta V. Isn't from Delta V. I don't know. Am I reading that wrong, Ed? I don't. I can't.
Is she talking? Are you talking about?
It's from something way in the past. Vet girl.
Right, okay.
Bus, thank you so much for the 10. She says, hello, is it normal for an accident reconstructionist expert to use photoshopped photos of a scene? ? Why no Lexus safety engineer? Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. They could have asked, the prosecutor could have asked Lexus to provide one. Okay. And he used the Bosch hardware and software to download from the Toyota black box, quote unquote, but instead of the Toyota.
Yeah, I hear a horn going on. What do you got going on?
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, and there was an argument over that back and forth, and it didn't go anywhere. Head rolling fast because Dr. Welcher was telling him that you don't know what you're talking about, essentially, right? He was
he was very nasty today, and he was given the hand, because he wasn't listening to the questions that were being asked him. He had what he wanted to say in his mind, and regardless of the question, and he was going to get it out. So when Alessi tried to stop him to make him conform to the question, he literally was giving him the hand, and then to the point that Alessi blew up. And then the judge had words with the judge about what was going on here.
Yeah, head rolling fast. Thank you for the 5. You're right. It was really bad. And you saw Dr. Welcher's response to Judge Bev, to Lifeguard-Bev, when she said, "Okay, you're free to go. You're all done. That thing. You're all done." He was like, "Oh, really?" Like, he was shocked. Head rolling fast. Thank you for the 5 guys. Can you please tell me how this judge is allowed to make up her own laws? She don't follow questioning that has been case law. How can she do this?
Well, again, she's for all intents and purposes, she's the queen in that court, and she's doing what she wants, regardless of the criminal procedure law, regardless of precedent, regardless of the laws of the Commonwealth. She's doing what she wants to do in there, and she may be held to account later if, God forbid, there is a conviction and they go to appeals. Or, I mean, I understand, from what I understand, there are, thousands of complaints called in already against her, and they'll all have to be investigated.
I hope she's held accountable for all of the misconduct that we can clearly see. And I mean, there's only a handful of times that I've seen in this second trial, the retrial, where she actually sided with the defense and kind of helped along a little bit. But it was just so obvious that she did want nothing to do with it. Lillian Cruz, thank you so much. She was annoyed. Judge Bev seemed annoyed, like, move it along. Can you speed this up?
Show that clip when Alessi is working his way back to his seat, and before he can even sit down, she said,
I'm going to show it.
She slammed him.
Thank you, Lillian, for the 10. The car was smoke and mirrors to make it look like an analysis was done. It was not. Well, Ed's the expert here. And Ed, do you feel like he did a proper analysis of that car?
No. He should have bought multiple taillights, conducted multiple tests at the speeds that he said he should have. Well, he kept saying, well, I didn't know this, and I didn't know that, and I didn't know this, I didn't know that. Well, if you didn't know all of those things, then you should not have given your opinion on how this happened. There are too many variables that are missing. Okay. But it's your confirmation bias that is, and that $400,000, but that is pushing you in a direction, isn't it?
Right. Ed, take over just for a minute as I'm trying to find it. So give me 2 seconds.
Yes. BN Trouble 31 has done far more work on this case than the $400,000 hired gun for the Commonwealth. 100%. And if you're not already, guys, go over to his channel and subscribe there and hook a brother up there, as we say. Okay, he's doing good work. He's doing God's work. We tried to get a hold of him. We asked him to reach out to us because we wanted to bring him on the show. We thought that would be a good collab to have. So if anybody speaks to him, or if you're out there and you're watching, please email us and let's get you on the show.
Absolutely.
I appreciate all that you've been doing.
Yeah, he has been doing a great job. I'm just getting ready to queue it up. Give me 2 seconds. Anything in the chat? Ed, you see anybody?
I'm looking for questions.
There was a couple of people that said that you are their new fan crush. I don't know what that's about, but seemed pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, what happened to the Commonwealth dog bite expert? Okay, so I think they're holding them as a rebuttal witness to the defense's dog experts. Okay, and again, because Judge Bev, Lifeguard-Bev, is giving them a third bite of the apple for their case to bring on these rebuttal witnesses. I mean, this is just ridiculous. She just bends over backwards to give Brennan, and Brennan is, whatever.
It's ridiculous. Between Brennan and Hank, it's a clown show. Brandy K says, you guys are great. Melanie Little thanks you guys all the time. Let me tell you something. So for those of you who don't know the history with Melanie Little, when Melanie started on YouTube without even having a channel, I was to bring her on as a co-host when Ed was traveling outside the country to, he was doing his teaching outside of the U.S. Sometimes he would have rocky internet, and I still had a channel to run here. So I would ask Melanie if she would be kind enough to come on, and she went over many missing children cases with me, the Long Island serial killer. I have her in the playlist here. Well, I probably did about 30 live streams with Melanie Little, and I said to her, and she agreed, and she was like, I want to try my own channel. And I was like, look, here's the things to do. So like, I kind of just gave her the pointers that I picked up along the way. So like, she talks all the time, oh, DutyRon's my mentor, DutyRon started. It's true. We had many hour-long conversations on the phone before she got started. And Ed, I used to have her on with myself, Ed and Melanie, and she just ran with it because she is so knowledgeable as it pertains to, trial. She's a trial attorney. She was a civil attorney, but she's a trial attorney. She knows the law and she's smart. So thank you, Brandy, for that. And thank you, Melanie. All right, let's listen to this. And Darkborn, thank you for the super chats. Thank you for all the super chats and the regular chats that are coming in. We will be answering all of the chats, all the super chats, and all the regular questions in the chat. Here's as it builds up towards the end. So let's listen. He had a lot of passion about what he was saying, and the points he made were very relevant. I thought for a millisecond, maybe she will side with him because everything he was saying was fair and true. And she just blew his ass right out of the water. It was terrible.
It's not happening that we're going to attack the credibility of Trooper Paul. What we want to do is to say to Dr. Welcher, you have brought up Trooper Paul. You have used his odometer reading. That odometer reading tethers through to Google. It tethers through everything you're doing. It's the foundation. But what you're ignoring, Dr. Welcher, are all the key cycle results that come from that odometer reading that you relied upon. Dr. Welcher himself can't cherry pick, grab things that he needs from Trooper Paul to do his analysis, and then the Commonwealth say, but you can't go after that because it somehow has Trooper Paul's name on it. It's illogical, Your Honor, and it's incorrect under the law. Thank you.
So I disagree with you, Mr. Alessi. I'm not allowing in the line of questioning regarding Trooper Paul, and I'm not allowing the line of questioning regarding Dr. Scordi-Bello.
Your Honor.
And that's bullshit.
Law. Thank you.
So I disagree with you, Mr. Alessi. I'm not allowing in the line of questioning regarding Trooper Paul, and I'm not allowing the line of questioning regarding Dr. Scordi-Bello. So that's
another reversible error by this judge. Okay, Lifeguard-Bev to the rescue of the prosecution. So yes, Darkborn, if the damage to John's clothing was done by the broken taillight, why was no clothing fiber found in the taillight? That is part of Lecard's exchange principle. So we don't have that. And conversely, we don't have polycarbonate material in those fibers in there. And we don't have blood either. Blood did not transfer to the edges of the polycarbonate or inside the taillight. And so, we're missing these things, and we'll never know where those little tiny 1/8 of an inch and smaller polycarbonate red material came from and how it was broken into those tiny little shards and found in the clothing and the bag that the clothing was in.
One of the most compelling things for me, Ed, and I think you feel the same way, was Dr. Scordi-Bello. Her determination of a pedestrian struck by a vehicle, her lack of that, right? The prosecution, the Commonwealth brings her on, and she just turns the tables on them. She's got the cuppy, right? She can't, she can't make the
causes undetermined pending investigation.
Thank you. So Dr. Scordi-Bello, who was, as we know, Trooper Proctor and all of that whole Norfolk County homicide detective squad from the state police, they all paid her a visit, and they tried to get her to turn around her findings on the autopsy of police officer John O'Keefe, and she stood true to it. So for me, that was one of the more compelling pieces of evidence. You know, as Barbara Butcher said to us in the past, the body talks to us. You know, when she talked about, and we asked her about the autopsy of Gabby Petito, remember way back then? And Barbara said, when we're in the autopsy suite, and I was with Dr. Hirsch, and, you know, that was her mentor, you know, Dr. Hirsch from the New York City Medical Examiner. She said, the body would tell us, right, what happened to it by the evidence. Ed, I'd like, if you can expand on that, and then we'll listen to Judge Bev scold Dr. Obnoxious. I'm going to call him that from now on, Dr. Obnoxious. But Ed, you know, thoughts about Dr. Scordi-Bello?
Well, again, she's a triple board certified forensic pathologist. Okay. She knows what she's doing. She did not see signs of a motor vehicle accident. The telltale signs. Now, that arm was examined thoroughly without x-rays, you know, at the emergency room and at the hospital and at the morgue. All right. There was no signs of any bones being broken. Okay. You know, when they do examinations, they'll articulate all the joints, right? And they'll feel and they'll search to see if there's anything there. And if they need to, then they'll go ask for x-rays. Okay. Right. And so, you know, the fact that he tried to disparage the medical examiner by saying, well, you know, there could be a hairline fracture, and since she didn't she didn't x-ray it, then we'll never know. No, if you saw the experiments that were done by our friend over at his channel, where he gets the ballistic gelatin arm with the bones in it and what he did there, okay, you see there were numerous broken bones throughout that arm, the wrist, the elbow, compound fracture, okay, right here, broken, okay. And we're not even talking, because if that would have been attached to his shoulder, it would have probably dislocated the shoulder, pulled it out, and there might be a broken shoulder. There would be all kinds of breaks elsewhere, okay. And it just didn't happen here, right? It just didn't happen here. So no, I'm not buying it. She knows what she's talking about.
Absolutely. Dr. Scordi-Bello, class act, and she knows her stuff. Aussie J, thank you.
And she wouldn't be bullied.
Yeah, she wouldn't let those scumbags bully her from the state police. That's disgraced former trooper Michael Proctor and that whole team, including Sergeant Buchanan. That is for sure. Hey guys, first of all, I want to say thank you to Aussie J for being a member for 34 months, almost 3 years. Thank you. We honor you. We do not take anybody for granted here. We thank you. We know that your time here is valuable, and you could spend time watching anybody else. We offer the detective side, the investigator side, the forensic side. We're not attorneys. You know, you get that all day long from attorneys with, watching the trials. It's a great, great place to be. Melanie, the lawyer, Emily D. Baker. I love them all. We had the lawyer, Peter Tragos on with us, and also WFLA's JB Bununo. He's been on with us as well. But I want to just say, Ed and I, we ask you guys to take the time to, if you're not yet subscribed, to subscribe, hit the thumbs up, because look, it takes hours for us to get this stuff together and during the day, and we do it in dribs and drabs here and there, but we prepare for what we want to present to you. And sometimes we get sidetracked because we do answer the comments out, and answering comments, believe it or not, sidetracks you, because what you're asking us is not up next for what we want to talk about. So we try to reel it in and keep it going. But we thank you, right, Ed? We want everybody to
100%
hit that subscribe button and put the thumbs up. Schmitty changed her screen name again. Look, she's at it. It's now Schmitty Schmacks. A member for 43 months. My goal is 10 years. Let's go. Let's rock it out. She wants to do a decade with us, Ed. So what happens after a decade, though?
I don't know. What happens?
She has to keep going. She has to go for 2 decades. You're in this for life, Schmitty. All right, here's Judge Bev. But there's more.
Yes. So obviously, our friend here is an emergency responder of some type. I don't know what agency he works for, law enforcement, EMS, or a fire, or whatever. So he recognized the logo on my shirt.
There it is.
And it's a bombing school in New Mexico, given by New Mexico Tech. They have several different schools, suicide bomber, and then other schools in Los Playos and Socorro, New Mexico, and so forth. It's great training for emergency responders on terrorism and bombing.
Thank you, Dario, for pointing that out. I was going to ask you about the shirt, Ed. Part of your long title was covering it, so I couldn't see it as well, but I knew it said something about New Mexico. All right, this is pompous Judge Bev, Lifeguard-Bev, as we like to refer to her as. Some call her Auntie Bev. There's some call her a lot of other different things. Put your, in the chat, just for shits and giggles and some fun, put your nickname for Judge Beverly Cannone, Cannone or Cannone or whatever, Cannoli, whatever you want to call her. Put it in the chat. Let's have some fun with that. And this is her giving in the jurors the instruction that we hear every morning. And then she goes to Dr. Welcher. She goes to Dr. Obnoxious and she says something about the devices have to be shut off. And then the watch, because Alessi talked about the watch, that smartwatch that we all saw that scumbag looking at. So can I call him that? Yeah, I'm calling him a scumbag. So
you can call Judge Bev or Lifeguard Bev anything you want. Just don't call her late to the Cape.
There you go. All right, let's listen in.
You're doing any independent research or investigation into this case? Everyone said yes. Or no.
She looks so happy in the beginning.
Did anyone
right? Look at
happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left yesterday? No. Everyone said no. Thank you. Could we have Dr. Welcher back, please, and Mr. Leslie, feel free to go to the podium.
The computer and any electronics there, so we don't have to do.
Can you instruct him to shut off any computers or electronics before we start? Now, remember, Dr. Welcher, he's not in the room yet. They're telling the bailiffs to bring him in. So that was a good catch by you, Ed. You had said that he said that, and I didn't hear it just till now. But remember, in the beginning, we were trying to find that, and you were saying it was before this, but it was right there. He says to her, "Can you please make sure he has all his shit shut off?"
Keep going and play it, because he gets into it too.
Thank you. Could we have Dr. Welcher back, please, and Mr. Leslie, feel free to go to the podium.
The computer and any electronics there, so we don't have to do.
It doesn't look like it's turned on.
Oh, okay, good. And smartwatches.
Now he comes in and she tells him. I love it.
So this one.
Sir, I'll remind you, you're still in.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Honor.
And Dr. Welcher, we're going to ask you to not turn on your computer yet.
Okie-dokie.
Thank you.
Okie-dokie.
Your Honor, if I could.
What a weirdo. Okie-dokie. Did anybody catch the court reporter yesterday say, "Oh my God"? She mouthed it. "Oh my God." When it was a moment with Judge Bev was asking him if he was done, and he was like, "Oh, I'm about halfway through," and she was like, puts her head back, and she goes, "Oh my God." Did you catch that, Ed?
Yep.
It was hilarious. But yeah, let's just play a little bit of this.
Smartwatches that are receiving text messages during his direct, if we can make sure that that does not occur.
Okay, that was the smartwatch. And you see his face, he was not happy about that.
I don't.
And Dr. Welcher, we're going to ask you to not turn on your computer yet.
Okie-dokie.
Okie-dokie.
And Your Honor, if I could, smartwatches that are receiving text messages during his direct, if we can make sure that that does not occur.
Get my email. I like all that.
Okay, or just don't look at your watch.
I get my email, he said? Or can you replay that?
I think he said, "I don't get my email on my watch."
Let me hear it again.
If we can make sure that that does not occur.
Get my email. I like all that.
Okay, or just don't look at your watch. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'll just put it in my bag.
Morning, Dr. Welcher.
Good morning.
Do you know whether there was glass found on the bumper of Miss Reed's Lexus SUV?
My understanding there was, yes.
Did you reach a conclusion on whether the glass on the bumper came from the drinking glass that you assert Mr. O'Keefe was holding at the time of?
All right, and we're not going to go into.
Okay, but I would like to touch on this.
Okay, so you want me to play just a little bit of this?
No, I can handle it from there. But you know, this guy just makes so many assumptions, right? And we all know the rule about assumptions, right? Never assume, because when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, right? So he makes all these assumptions. He assumed that that glass was in John O'Keefe's hand, and that glass came from the Waterfall bar. That's why he made all this great effort to go buy a similar glass. But during this testimony right here, he did not know that the glass found on the bumper did not match the glass found by Lieutenant Leafblower. Okay. He thought it was inconclusive, that, you know, the lab said it was inconclusive. He did not know that it did not match. So he's assuming that the glass on the bumper matched was in fact from that cocktail glass that Lieutenant Leafblower found. You can play it a little bit if you want. No sound.
You have no basis to conclude that the glass on the bumper came from the glass that you depict as having been held by Mr. O'Keefe at the time of the alleged impact. Is that correct?
Well, you're mixing a couple things.
No, Dr. Welcher,
So
if you can just answer my question.
I'm
If
trying
I
to.
need to rephrase it, I will. I'll ask it a different way.
Please.
You have no basis as you sit here today to conclude that the glass on the bumper came from a drinking glass connected to Mr. O'Keefe, do you?
Well, we have a picture of a broken glass at the scene. So I wouldn't say we have no basis. We don't necessarily have enough to conclude it's from it, though.
He doesn't even know if Officer John O'Keefe was in possession of that glass.
You had depictions in your test with Mr. O'Keefe holding a glass, correct?
Correct.
My question is, you have no evidence to show at all other than, and I'm talking evidence, testing information. You're saying you have no evidence that shows that the glass on the bumper is not the same glass as you showed on your slides as being found supposedly at the scene. You have no test evidence that that's the same glass, do you?
So again, the one I have at my testing obviously was not the same glass. We have pictures of a broken bar glass in the snow near where Mr. O'Keefe's body was. We have glass fragments on the rear of the bumper. That's the extent of my knowledge on the correlation between those two.
So do you said you reviewed the reports and testimonies of various Commonwealth representatives, correct? That's in your report.
Correct. In the initial.
In the initial, right, correct. And some of those reports included forensic scientists who work for the Massachusetts State Police, correct?
I believe that's correct.
And you put those in your report as documents that you reviewed, correct?
Correct.
And as you sit here today, it's your testimony. You don't know whether in any of the reports of the Massachusetts State Police, there is an answer to the question of whether there's any connection at all between the glass found in the snow and the glass on the bumper.
I recall it being inconclusive.
Oh, so you recall that the testing was inconclusive?
I don't remember what testing they did, but for example, when they put the taillight fragments back together, they were able to deduce that the fragments were from the taillight. I don't think they attempted to do that with the glass.
Thank you, Tiffany.
assume that there has been testing of the glass on the bumper, and assume that that testing conclusively determines that the glass on the bumper is not the glass that was found in the snow.
Okay.
Assume that.
Okay.
How would that affect your analysis?
I'd want to know where the glass came from, but we still have a whole bunch of other elements.
What does that have to do with the accident reconstruction?
So
it's insane. Agati, thank you for being here. She says, I love you guys loads. Thank you, mods and chat. 2:24 a.m. in the UK, and I'll catch up later.
Have a good night, Ag.
Thank you, Ag. I know that I see her always during the daytime. It's a normal time for the UK folks while the trial is going live. So thank you. I know you this is an overload for our UK viewers. They get to see it twice. So yeah, this guy, it's just unbelievable. I think, looking at this as the Commonwealth rested, right? They were done today. I really feel strongly that they did not prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. The burden is on the state. The burden is on the Commonwealth, as they say it, and they did not fulfill and did not provide evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that police officer John O'Keefe was hit and killed by Karen Reed. It would be, I'm telling you right now, if they come back with a guilty verdict, that would be a travesty of justice based on what we just listened to for the past 4 weeks. It's just insane to even think about it. There was something that I wanted to play, Ed, before we wrapped up. What was it that we talked about?
What, the scanning, the 3D laser scanning?
Yeah, we went through Garrett.
So he gets cross-examined about the laser scanner.
Would it have any part in your analysis?
He does, but that's later on, right?
Right. But he doesn't, obviously he's not an operator. He's not a tech, a laser scanner tech. He's not certified to do the scans. He has somebody else do it. He tells them what he wants and he has them do it. Right. But he doesn't understand how they work. And apparently there's no documentation to whether or not they did the NIST calibration scan before they used the scanner and then after they used the scanner to ensure the accuracy of the scans they did in between the two NIST certification polls for the accuracy of the scan. There's no information anywhere that was done. So, you scan the NIST poll, which has 2 points on it that are at a specific distance, and then you get that distance, right? And we know what the distance is. So when the scan is done and you test it, it should be that exact distance. If it's not that exact distance, then you can't use that scanner, or you have to recalibrate the whole scanner until you get that specific distance that's required in the NIST poll. Now, once you have that measurement and it's documented, because it does have a file, it's electronic, it captures the digital information is captured, the date and time the scan was done and the results. Once you have that corrected, then you can do your scans of whether it's your scene or in this case vehicles or whatever the case may be. Then you scan the NIST poll again at the end to ensure that it is still dead on accurate. I'd like to use a line from my cousin Vinny. Dead on balls accurate. Okay, a scientific term there. Okay, and then the scan reliability is there, and you can testify to that. But
they argued back and forth at this image, and they were saying, Alyssa was saying, are you saying that these cars never touched hers and John O'Keefe's in the driveway? And he was saying, oh, it came close, but it never did touch. And then he froze this part here. I think this is from the 3D laser scan image. And I remember this from Luke from Faro showing us this, and it was like a 20-minute argument back and forth about these photos. And this is in the middle of the day. And yeah, so he was like saying, you mean to tell me that these cars never did touch? And he said, oh, they came close, but they didn't touch.
Okay, and let me explain this too about the scanner. So there's what's called a point cloud. So it shoots out laser, and everywhere that laser hit and bounces back, there's a measurement taken, and it takes millions of measurements, right? In 360 degrees. It can't capture what's underneath the tripod holding up the scanner, okay? But it can capture pretty much everything else, and that it can see. So whatever it can see, it can scan. Then it also is taking a high resolution image of that, and it takes basically a photograph, high res photo, and it then puts the high res photo on top of the point cloud. Okay. So when you see all these little dots, you may just be seeing the point cloud. When you see something that looks more like a photograph, it's the overlay of the photograph on top of the point cloud.
Right.
So there, he's saying that nothing was manipulated here, but there are those of us that do this quite frequently. I remember I teach people how to use Leica and Faro 3D laser scanners, and something's amiss here.
Yeah, that's for sure. So I want to go to this part. So this is the ending. Come on, cooperate with me. All right.
You heard the idiom, the phrase, show your math.
Your question is, have I ever heard show your math, period?
Associated with the application of various hypotheses to avoid confirmation bias. Have you heard of that term used in that conjunction?
Not really in that context. It's probably, I understand where you're going with it.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
Dr. Welcher, you are awesome.
Oh my God, thank you.
Oh my God.
There it is. Oh my God, thank you.
Give me a minute to pack up and I will be out of here.
Yeah, let me take all of my recording and electronic devices and let me gather my data and get out of here. It was an uncomfortable period of time that he sat there. And this is how Hank, Brennan and crew ended the Commonwealth. This is how the Commonwealth read.
You know, what he did yesterday with those electronics in New York, if that would have occurred, which they wouldn't have let you bring a laptop or an iPad or, have you mucking around with your phone and your smart watch. Had that occurred, though, they would have excused the jury, the judge, and the defense and the prosecutors would have had a big powwow, and they would have taken your electronics and looked at everything.
Yeah, absolutely. But not in Canton. Not in Judge Bev's courtroom. That's for sure.
Mr. Brennan?
Bizarro world. We're in bizarro world.
Commonwealth moves to introduce and play clip 26.
Oh, enough of this.
So I thought, would I run him over? Did he try to get me as I was leaving and I didn't know it? I mean, I've always took the music blasting. It's snowing. I think the wipers going, the heater blasting. Did he come and hit the back of my car?
Is it a 207?
Your Honor, the Commonwealth rests.
Does counsel want to see me?
Your Honor.
Okay, so should we send the jury out or should? So jurors, so everybody can sit. So jurors, the Commonwealth rests. That means that the Commonwealth's case has been presented to you for your consideration. So I need to meet with the lawyers for a few minutes, so we're going to send you back out. I can tell you that it now appears that we're at least on schedule, if not a little ahead of schedule. So we'll send you back out for a short recess.
She should tell them not to discuss this case because the defense attorneys didn't put on their case yet. She should have said, okay, do not discuss. She should have still given those admonitions, and she didn't do it. But
ahead.
That said,
Answer it.
crispy treat. I guess you missed this part. If they had conducted more experiments than the blue paint with that other car, yes, then I could see purchasing the car. But also, they testified that the car is going to be sold in California, and then the Commonwealth will pay them the difference.
Right. Which, like you said, what's that car going to be worth in California? Sal, thank you for the 20 super sticker. Ditto 75 says, a Welcher, someone who swindles you by not repaying a debt or a wager. Welcher.
Chiseler, defrauder, grifter, scammer, swindler, gouger.
For those of you asking in the chat, Karen Reed said outside of court today that her defense team plans to call a phone data analysis expert as their first defense expert witness tomorrow morning. We're going to be listening to it live. Ed will be. I'll be at work making money, trying to pay my bills. And Steve, thank you for being a member for 43 months. Can the judge be punished punished for helping one side? Yeah, we talked about this in the middle of this live stream. Yeah.
If a judicial investigation is conducted and they find that she showed bias to one side over the other, yeah, there can be sanctions.
Tiffany, thank you for the 20. I can't wait until the defense calls fired, disgraced former trooper, dirtbag Proctor. Thank you so much, DutyRon and Ed, for your coverage each day during this trial. It's so informative and entertaining. I'm glad you find value in it because, again, it's coming from the investigator's standpoint. Thank you, Miss Cosgrove. High grade bullshit for the 5. I had to change my name again, too. I have settled on anti-beverage. I love it. Cheryl Klein, thank you for the 5. Florida Supreme Court removed Judge Elizabeth Shearer. Could Judge Bev face the Mass Supreme Court for her bias against the defense? As Ed just answered that out.
Norm from Cheers just passed away.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know how every time Norm would come into the bar, they would scream his name and he'd be like a fixture here.
Right.
I see Bev taking over that position.
Yeah, it would be perfect for her. Thank you for the 5, Ida. I appreciate it. Why has nobody tested how the taillights could get broken? And again, nothing was done the proper way, and nothing was done, front to back, tying everything in. This was just such a shoddy run investigation, and Ed looks at it and shakes his head all the time. So, yeah. Oh boy, head rolling fast. Thank you for the 2. Kim Jong Cannone. Thank you, Dundee, for the $7.99. I believe that's Sidebar Bev. Thank you so much. Worship Master, thank you for the $2. The $1.99.
I want my $2.
I want my $2 back. Princess Mitch, thank you, and Rob for being a member for over 64 months and a moderator, a great friend to this community. I'm a lifer, LOL. Best of the best here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Those folks in the chat, name the movie that quote just came from. I want my $2.
Thank you for making sense out of nonsense, says Vet Girl RWB, that RW Bus. Thank you, Vet Girl, for being a member for over 41 months and a very, very generous supporter. So thank you, Vet Girl. Schmitty Smacks, over 43 months, and she said the goal, and you highlighted this super chat. Schmitty Smacks is here for life. Until she takes her last breath, she's with us. I know that for a fact. Darkborn sends in the 50. I think you did talk about this, right? Yes.
Yes, I did.
Holly, thank you. What?
Did you see what else Schmitty sent? She just notified us that Bernie Carrick passed away.
No way.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Bernie, for those of you who don't know, Bernie Carrick was the police commissioner. He was Mayor Giuliani's bodyguard when he was an NYPD detective, and Giuliani promoted him to the police commissioner. That's the first time a detective was ever put into a commissioner of the police department, and he was the commissioner during 9/11.
Right. Yep. He also, in an interview, did the Brooklyn Bridge ESU with why am I missing? Well, one of the detectives that perished in 9/11. He was shot a couple of times. Why am I missing his last name? His wife worked in a 7.5. Anyways, he climbed the Brooklyn Bridge with him and had coffee and donuts up at the top with him. And I'm, God, I can't believe I can't remember his name. Vet Girl, thank you for the 10. His distance calculations at 84 feet would have put Karen Reed's vehicle into Brian Higgins' Jeep in the front, by the front mailbox. Yeah, I've heard that. People talk about it all the time. Thank you for that. There's no way those marks were made with his arm bent. The forearm would have wounds going into his upper arm. Yeah. It's crazy. I think we covered all of the super chats. I appreciate everybody for being here. We thank you. This is going to get good from here on in, because the defense is going to be bringing on, who knows? Are we going to hear from Karen Reed? Is she going to take the stand? To be determined, right? As she says, to be determined. Trooper Michael Proctor, will he get called? Will they call some of this Canton crew?
Higgins.
Yeah, Brian Higgins be called. Will Chris Albert be called back to the stand? I don't know, but Karen Reed this afternoon said that this should last about 1 to 2 weeks. She said, I think somewhere around there, and she said that the cell phone expert will be their first witness called. And she referred to him as a phone data analyst expert. So that's it. Ed, you got anything?
So, folks, for those of you who are asking again, it was the Bernie Kerrick. Bernie Kerrick was the commissioner for a short period of time, just before 9/11 and after 9/11. In fact, I don't know the man personally, but he did promote me to first grade detective. On his last promotion as commissioner before the incoming Bloomberg administration and the return of Commissioner Ray Kelly. That was the Christmas of 2001 promotion. Then also, I saw something else in the chat that, yes, the movie was Better Off Dead. Yeah, with John Cusack. Okay. Well, folks, thanks again for being with us for these almost 2 hours now, hour and 45 minutes. We know you can get your true crime fix anywhere you like on the internet and YouTube, and it's an honor to have you with us for this time. And you keep showing up day after day, and we appreciate you. Thank you for that. I want to always tell you, stay safe, stay prepared, and always watch your six.
Amen to that, brother. Thank you, Ed. And the detective I was trying to refer to, thankfully, came back to me because, again, at 61, you get brain fog every once in a while. But it was Detective Joseph Vigiano. He was shot several times while on duty, survived being shot. He was in emergency services, truck 2. He perished in the World Trade Center. And Bernie Kerrick, again, had an interview. It's out there on YouTube where he talks about Detective Vigiano and how brave he was and how he was not, he feared nothing. And he climbed the Brooklyn Bridge as part of the training with Joe before September 11th. And so may he continue to rest in peace. His son's on the job. His wife was on the job in the 7.5, Kathy Vigiano. So again, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank the replay viewers, the moderators, the super chatters, the folks who buy us cups of coffee, the Patreon supporters, and people who leave us comments down below in the comment section. That's a great way to continue the conversation. So if you want to continue conversing with Ed and myself, leave us a comment down below in the comment section. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. We're going to be following this. We'll be live probably tomorrow night again, and we'll have the weekend off. I'm off next week, Monday and Tuesday, so I'll be watching the trial live. I don't know what we'll do. Maybe we'll do an experiment and just play the trial live on Monday and Tuesday. I don't know, but it should be interesting from here on in. Are you going to still be in Jersey, Ed?
I'll be heading back home Monday.
All right. Very good. All right. Again, on behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we are at 495,000 subscribers and approaching 500,000. I'm going to be giving some signed copies of Ed's book away. Karen, I mailed your book out today, Karen Griswold. Ed's going to be signing. Maybe I'll buy 10 more of those books, Ed. I'll buy them online, and we'll get together and we'll have a little lunch, and you can do your signature on your crime scene books and so forth. So we'll do that. What do you think?
Hey, folks, if I missed a question that you had, just put it in the comment section after this post on YouTube, and I'll answer it there.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Tiffany. Look at it. Tiffany's like, wow, 500,000. Yeah, we're rapidly approaching 500,000. Makeup Mobster, who lives out on Long Island, out in Suffolk County, a fellow neighbor and resident. She wants a book. Ed, when we hit that 500K, maybe we'll sign one and I'll bring it out to her. Every time I go out to my stepmom's, I go right past her neighborhood. So maybe I could just hand it to her. We'll do a car to car like the cops do, right? We'll
Yeah, like a suspicious drug purchase.
No drug purchase. No makeup mobster and drug purchases. Picture that, a makeup mobster, right? No, she's not into that stuff. All right, guys and girls, thank you so much for being here. Love and respect from Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. And remember, this is about the victim, Police Officer John O'Keefe, his family, his loved ones, his friends, the kids that he was taking care of for his brother-in-law and sister. Again, let's get justice for John O'Keefe and Karen Reed. We'll see you guys soon. Peace and love from Ed Wallace and DutyRon. See you soon.